Hi, I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and in this video I'm going to show you how to put together the Birds of Prey applique pattern. So just by changing the colors and the fabrics that you use, you can make all different kinds of eagles, hawks, falcons, kites, pretty much any of the raptors. Here's how to do it. Okay, this is the video showing how to assemble the Birds of Prey pattern if you are using a light box. So I say birds of prey, it can be a bald eagle, it can be a hawk, it can be any other kind of eagle. I'm going to make a red-shouldered hawk here, but it can be any of those raptors, basically, all of the birds that have this kind of hooked beak to them. So first of all, a quick peek at my light box setup. So at the very top, I've got a clear silicone sheet. This is also sometimes called an applique sheet. I've got my printed out placement guide. I have a tempered glass cutting board. That cutting board is optional. My light box is, the video setup that I have is quite a ways from my ironing board, and it was difficult for me to carry my pieces over to the ironing board for fusing. And so I added this tempered glass cutting board to my setup so that after I get all the pieces layered, I can just fuse them right on this. It won't, the glass won't break from the heat. And then at the very bottom, I've got my light box and I've got my brightness turned all the way up. I've also got all of my pieces prepared. So I've got all of them cut out. The way I do this is I print my pattern pieces onto the paper side of Heat and Bond Light. You can also trace it and use a different brand if you like, but I like Heat and Bond Light. I do a rough cut around each piece. I fuse it to the wrong side of the fabric, and then I do a nice clean cut on all of the solid lines. You'll see some dotted lines within the pattern. You can ignore those. Those are only there for if you're not using a light box, but if you're using a light box, ignore them. You'll be able to see the placement here. So I've got everything printed and ready to go, and now I'm just going to start laying these pieces down. So we are going to start with piece number 1, because the numbers not only tell you what piece is what, but they also tell you in what order you need to lay them down on your applique piece. So this is the body. There we go. And then number 2 is the head. And again, I am making a red-shouldered hawk here. And so I've just chosen my fabrics accordingly, and you can make a lot of different birds just by changing the colors of the fabrics that you use. All right, so that's his head. Let me get that up just a smidge. And then number 3 is his shoulder. So I've just got kind of shades of brown for the main part of his body. But this shoulder piece is definitely more reddish, and it's going to overlap the body and the head piece. And then number 4 is the bottom half of the beak. So the beak is in 2 parts because I wanted to really get that distinctive hook to it. And you can just see through here those lines. If you can't see the lines through the piece of fabric, just tap down to make contact between the layers, and that will let those lines show up more clearly. There we go. And then number 5 is the top part of the beak. And I used the same fabric for both pieces of the beak. I don't always do that, but sometimes I do. And when I do, if it's a directional fabric like this one, I will often cut the 2 pieces of fabric deliberately in different directions to get some nice little extra distinction between those 2 fabrics. Hang on a second, I'm going to pull this out just a smidge more. Here we go. What I'm trying to get is to make sure, there we go. I want these little points to come together, and I also want this corner of the beak to pull in and right meet where see there's kind of a point here. I want that point to come in right where that curve of the head comes down, just to make it very naturally look like it is growing out of the head. So now I'm doing them out of order. So number 6 is the nostril. You could leave this off if you want to. I just wanted to make this guy look somewhat realistic, and they have a pretty distinctive spot here. You can see it better if I lift it up some. You can see it. See, there's a little spot there. That's going to be right here. So again, you can leave that nostril detail off if you want. And then the last bit is his eye, which, there it is. You can see it if you tap down. There is his eye. All right, so I'm going to fuse this all right on the tempered glass, and then I'm going to let it cool, then peel it off of this silicone mat and place it on my finished block that I've already quilted. That's the way I do quilt as you go. Then I'll do all of the outline stitching around it and bring it back and show you the finished block, and also show you 2 other versions that I made, both of them bald eagles, but on different colored backgrounds. All right, here is one finished bald eagle. So this one is on a background that is seafoam green. This is for a collection that I'm putting together of all national parks, animals that live in national parks of the northeastern United States. But I've got a couple of others that I made. So here is another bald eagle. This one is on just a different color background. It's for an Arctic bundle that I'm putting together. But you can make more than just bald eagles with this. You can make all different kinds of hawks, falcons, kites, pretty much any raptor. So I also made a red-shouldered hawk. And here is that. All of the pieces are exactly the same as the way I put it together for the bald eagle, just changed the colors for it. This is for a second Woodland Critters bundle that I am putting together. So that is how you put together the Birds of Prey applique pattern. You can get that pattern at shinyhappyworld.com. I'm Wendy, and I will see you next time.